सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Hari Om, salutations to all. So we saw the direct means to realize is Tyage Naike Amritatva Manashuhu. And this truth shines in the hearts of all as the self, and it is the state into which the yatis enter. The nature of the yatis and the sadhana of Jnana was indicated in the next mantra. Sannyasa yogad yataya shuddha sattvaha, that is nididhyasan. So how to do the nididhyasan? Now the Upanishad gives us the steps, what we have been following in the morning sessions, that Bhagavan is indicating here. Fifth mantra. Vivikta deshe cha sukhasanasthaha Shuchis samagri vashira shariraha Atyashramastha sakalendriyani Nirudhya bhaktya swagurum pranamya Hritpundarikam virajam vishuddham Vichintya madhye vishadam vishokam. Vivikta deshe, one should sit in solitude. Why should one sit in solitude? Many times it happens that when we sit in a crowded place, there's a lot of noise. Sometimes when we meditate even as a group meditation has its own significance. But it also increases sometimes the self-consciousness. So if one feels drowsy, one dozes, then immediately what one does? Open the eyes and see, did anybody see me? And what are we sitting to realize? I am not the ego. I am not this jiva. But did anybody see me sleeping? Arey, you are not the jiva. Why are you bothered? If they saw also. No, they think bad about me, ki what a dull fellow he is. But you are not that. No, but still I am not yet realized that state, Till then I am a jiva only. So self-consciousness increases. So Vivikta Desha, sit quietly in a place of solitude, which means no distractions around. Humming हो रहा है भैया. The distractions of the mind, see the place, the environment, the associations which we have, they remind the mind of so many memories. So if a person sits in a place which is Vivikta Desha, in solitude, with not too many things around, not too many people around, it is easier for the mind to withdraw. Vivikta Desha. Then, how to sit? Sukhasanasthaha. Sit in an asana which is comfortable. Sukhasana itself one can sit in. Nowadays that Sukhasana also has become Dukkhasana for people, because they don't sit down only. Age is another factor, I don't have a problem with that. The issue is young people also can't sit down because they're not used to sitting down only. So if Upanishad is written now, it has to be Vivikta Deshe cha chairasanasthaha. You sit in chairasana. Some people think, Are Padmasana, Ardha Padmasana, and they will try to put one leg on the other and very difficult to maintain, but still, oh no, I'm going to sit like this only. We are trying to go beyond body identification. If the Sukhasana is, if the asana in which one is sitting is not comfortable, gone. Whole attention will be on the body. What is the point? The reason why Padmasana is said is the spine will be straight. Why should a spine be straight? That spine being straight is the attitude of the mind, alertness of the mind. Even for children, we have to tell that. Keep the spine straight. So for Balviha children, we always tell them, sit like an exclamation mark, not like a question mark. They'll sit like that. Again, they'll sit like that. Again, after some time, they go. Again. Straight spine, alertness of the mind. Many times in our school, what used to happen, no table is there. One is sitting like this, leaning on the table. One ear is covered, spine is not straight, one is leaning happily, then one goes to sleep. If spine is straight, alertness of the mind will be most effective. From yoga standpoint, they will also say that the energy will rise, Kundalini Shakti will rise, it goes through the spine, chakras. So keep the spine straight. Vivikta Deshe cha Sukhasanasthaha. Samam Samagriva Shira Shariraha. So that is head, neck, spine, straight line. Shuchihi, in a clean place, where there is no dirt, where there is no bad smell. Clean place outside and clean in the mind. No impure thoughts, with positive resolve, auspicious thoughts. One should sit for meditation. If the mind is going through depression, if the mind is going through certain low phase, sadness, then don't do meditation. Why? Because in meditation there is a certain amount of focus. And right now the mind which is stuck with the depression and all that will focus more on that. It will fall further. That person must have a goal in life or inspiring goal, something nice to do, which makes them dynamic. They don't need meditation. And they should not do meditation. Medically also you ask the psychiatrist and all, they will tell you. So many people go crazy because of that. They will be in depression and then somebody will say, why don't you meditate? That's worst treatment for them. I should not give them that. Let them come to a certain level of positive attitude in the mind, then do the meditation. So Shuchi means that positive thought, clean mind. What if impurities are there in the mind? See, that is there in everyone's mind, and we overcome that through sadhana. But the predominant mood of the mind cannot be negativity, sadness, depression. Then it is difficult to overcome that. For that, there are other sadhanas. Do loud chanting, do stotram chanting, read the Leelas of Bhagavan, do Katha Shravan, do some Kirtan, do some dancing, do all that. Not meditation, where everything has to be withdrawn and only focus on the absolute. That withdrawal and all will be very difficult. So, Shuchi means that clean, pure, nice place. And also remember, place localizes vibrations. So if we go on sitting in the same place and do the meditation, that place will become powerful. Mind will become quiet very easily in that place. That's why when we go to temples, etc., the place has power. Because hundreds and thousands of people come there and they pray. Plus the Mahatmas who have come, they have done the Prana Pratishtha, so Puja of Bhagavan is happening there. Recently one video was very viral on that. What is the impact of the chanting in the temple and how the sound reverberates. When you chant, it will come back to you. The whole video was there. A lot of time it went on and on and on. So that's the power of the place. So somebody says, oh, why should I go to a temple to meditate? I can do in my house. You can do at home also, no problem. But if you go to such a place like a temple or a Tirtha Yatra on the banks of a holy river or in these dhams, a lot of these Chota Char Dham, Bada Char Dham, Ashtavinayak, Bara Jyotirling, so many of these places. Sacred places have great power. So place has importance, and in our daily sadhana, if the same place is maintained, great. The mind will easily withdraw because it is very familiar. If we keep changing places, the mind is not familiar. It takes time to withdraw. Second, the place must be kept also clean by us. That's why they generally say that in the puja room must be exclusive. It should not be combined with the bedroom, kitchen, this, that. Wherever it is possible, one should keep that puja room separate. No, Swamiji, we live in Mumbai. Where we have place in Mumbai? Bhagavan is in one dabba in the kitchen. There only we have to worship. So if the limitation is there, that's a different matter. But where it is possible, Bhagavan's place should be separate, where I sit and meditate, because that place will have that power. In the same place, if we entertain negative thoughts or vulgar thoughts, or we have fights, disturbances, then the power created with meditation dissipates. So that is the importance of the place, Shuchi. So sit in a place which is clean, sit in Sukhasan, sit in solitude, sit erect, Samagriva Shira Shariraha. These are physical preparations. Then Atyashramastaha. What is the attitude with which one sits? The attitude is Atyashramastha. See, one meaning of ashram is the 4 ashrams of life. Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. Atyashramastha means beyond the 4 ashrams. Beyond 4 ashrams meaning try to have no identity. I am not a brahmachari, I am not a grihasthi, I am not a vanaprasthi, I am not a sannyasi also. Then who am I? Brahman, that's all. All other identities are what? Temporary, they come and go. One disciple of Shankaracharya ji was like that. One of the main disciples. He had never spoken from his childhood, his birth onwards. Did not speak only. Parents tried so many things. Nothing worked for him. Shankaracharya ji was visiting Mukambika. At that time they brought him there. His child, he has never spoken, now he is 12-13 years and he has not spoken at all, but he acts very weird. Suddenly he will start laughing, suddenly he rolls in sand, suddenly he becomes absolutely quiet. So please help, do something. So Shankaracharya ji just asked him, Kastvam Shisho, oh child, who are you? Kutosi Ganta, where are you going? Kim Nama Petvam, what is your name? Kuta Agatosi, from where have you come? For the first time the child opened his mouth and he spoke. That is Hastamalaka Stotram. Naham manushyo na chadeva yakshaha na brahmachari na grihi na vanastaha bhikshur na chaham nijabodha rupaha sanityopalabdhi swarupo hamatma. I am not a bhikshu, I am not a brahmachari, I am not a grihasthi, I am not a vanaprasthi. Then who am I? Nitya Upalabdhi Swarupa Atma. That Atma which is ever available, which is my true nature, that I am. That Atma is Atyashramastha. So in this context, Atyashramastha means what? I don't have any identity. Or that is very difficult to do, Swamiji. Then hold on to one identity, I am a seeker. That's all. No other identity. I am not a son, no father, no mother, nothing. Atyashramastha. Gurudev used to say, this is your exclusive appointment with God. Nobody should come between you and God in that time. Atyashramastha. Sakalendriyani nirudhya. Withdrawing all the senses. We have seen our mind goes out through the senses. So, withdrawing from the senses means what? One is physically the senses become quiet. So, eyes are shut, ears are not seeking any sound. With the mouth we are not eating, we are not talking. With the hands we are not making any movements, legs we are not walking anywhere. All the physically the senses are restrained. But Indriyani also means the inner faculties. So the craving for seeing something, listening to something, or talking, or moving, or touching is not there. One withdraws. Even if that thought comes, just let me go, put on this fan and then come back. In between meditation. One says, Sakalendriyani nirudhya. No need. Or the mind says, I am very thirsty, let me drink water and come. Then my chanting will be better, then I will realize faster. Or one will say, I think I need some back support, This head, neck and this spine to be straight line is not very easy. So let me have some back support. Go take some pillow and come. Already you are sitting on the chair. The chair is little hard. I need one cushion below my feet. I need one cushion below my back. I need one cushion below. Everywhere I need one cushion. Kushi I will do. That is called kushi meditation. Cushion here, cushion there, cushion everywhere. The mind goes on playing some trick. If nothing, let me open the eyes and see, because I am feeling very claustrophobic, Swamiji. I am not used to all this. Okay, after that sometime. Then look around a little bit and then close. A lot of tricks the mind plays. It doesn't want to stay in that quiet moments. Something it will do and go out through the senses. So he says Sakala Indriyani Niruddhya. Then, so senses are withdrawn, body is still, mind is alert, identity is I am Brahman is what I want to realize. Then bhakti. Bhaktya Swagurum Pranamya. Before we start contemplation, one has to do this. Prostrate to the Sadguru. If one has Ishtadevata, then Ishtadevata, it will come after this, it will come, that form only will come. But first one prostrates to the Guru, Swagurum Pranamya, and how? Bhaktya, with great devotion. Like we said yesterday, the bhavana is most important. Sadhana without bhavana leads to Vedana. Mechanical it will become, or mind will start wandering. So sadhana must be with bhavana. Sadhana without bhavana is Vedana. Bhavana without sadhana is Kalpana only. Go on imagining. I really feel, then why don't you do sadhana? Uska samay aayega, Swamiji. Right now I just feel lot of love for Gurudev and for Bhagwan. Whenever I feel, that time I just become quiet. What is the regular sadhana you are doing? That I am not doing anything. That will come whenever. Then the realization will remain one kalpana only. Nothing will happen. Sadhana and bhavana must go together. If we think that, when bhavana comes, that time I will do sadhana, till then what is the use of sadhana? Anyway it is Vedana, so we will wait. Then keep waiting, janma after janma, it will take many, many lives to then realize. I should begin with whatever bhavana I have. And that bhavana will keep increasing slowly. So if that happens, then that is the best attitude. So bhakti, for invoking bhavana, what is important? Sambandh is important. I keep telling this again and again because no matter how much we study, we don't build only sambandh. Especially Vedantin. I am Brahman, why do I need to worship Ishvara? Very intelligent, so-called intelligent question. The dumbest question a Vedantin can ask. If that person is calling himself or herself Vedantin, then the dumbest question that person can ask. Because then what is Vedanta that one has understood? Brahman plus Maya is Ishvara. And as long as Srishti is there, Ishvara is there. As long as Ajiva Bhav is there, Srishti is there, Ishvara is there. I have to have surrender to that Ishvara. Then only Jiva Bhav goes. But one will ask, why do I have to worship Ishvara? I am only Brahman. Who is that I, please? Oh, that is I is Sachidananda. Who are you? Oh, my name is Paramananda. But Sada Dukhi all the time. If I have studied Vedanta, then Bhavana for Ishvara will come automatically because that Ishvara only is appearing as this whole universe. How can one not have? Did Shankaracharya ji not worship Lord Shiva? Greatest Advaitic teacher. He worshipped, no? Vivekananda ji, who never believed in form, he was also worshipping Shiva. So what is the problem? So bhavana is important. If I don't have bhavana for Ishvara, it should be for the Guru. And the bhavana is Guru Sakshat Parabrahma. So here he says, Bhaktya Swagurum Pranamya. Worship, mentally prostrate to the Guru, seek the blessings of the Guru. For what? The contemplation, may it be steady. All the knowledge that the Guru has given, that knowledge which I have reflected upon, now is the time to bring that knowledge into application, to reject the body identification. That is important. So when we surrender to the Guru, we open ourselves to the grace of the Guru, and the Guru's grace will protect us in contemplation. Many times we think Guru's grace will protect us from harm outside, or it will help to attain some, prosperity, wealth, all that. That also it will do. But mainly Guru's grace protects in the path of contemplation, because so many old vasanas are there. Who knows which vasana will arise when? Nobody knows. And especially when we start meditating, this mind of ours, most of the time we have escaped in the world outside. When we are meditating, the attention of the mind is coiled upon itself, because from the body, attention has been withdrawn, from the world it has been withdrawn. So a lot of memories will come, emotions will arise. What one would have not thought, those kind of things may come. Vulgarest of thoughts may land up. One would never have imagined those thoughts are there, but it will come. Most angry moments, they may rise in the mind. Suddenly greed may come, anything. And they will come in waves. Grace of the Guru is required to protect us from that. And bhakti is required that time to surrender all those to the Guru. Guru or Ishvara, whatever one is holding on to. That's why Gurudev used to say, in all temples, Bhagavan is standing like this. You give me your mind, I will clean it and give it back to you. And Gurudev used to literally say that you treat Bhagavan as your garage. Like you send the car to the garage and that person cleans up everything and what is it called? Service. Overhauling, service, they do. And then you take the car back. So you say you give the mind to Bhagavan, he will do all the alignment, cleaning, overhauling, everything, and he will give it back. So lust will arise, passion will arise, greed will arise, anger will arise, jealousy will arise, so many things will arise. Bhakti will help us to overcome those. And grace of Guru is that which protects. The more I invoke that grace, these memories, etc., will subside. They will just come, go. Otherwise, what happens? When they rise, we flow with them. Then we get completely distracted. So, bhaktya swagurum pranamya. Now, the next two lines are the pointers of contemplating on the self. Where should one contemplate? So, it is said, Hrit Pundarikam, in the lotus of the heart. This is the Agnya Chakra between the two eyebrows, and this is the Anahata Chakra. Heart Chakra, Head Chakra. These two are the focal points of Dhyan. And more generally it will be said the heart, because our feeling of Aham is from the heart. So Hrit Pundarikam, in the lotus of our heart. Lotus of the heart means, see, some people actually visualize different, in Yoga Marga there are different lotuses and different colors, each chakra, etc. In Vedant, Hrit Pundarikam means heart is, if you see Gurudev's commentary, he has given very nice meaning of this word heart. So he says it's the seat of all noble values. So he says in philosophy and literature, heart stands for the nobler emotions in man that make him human. That arena in the human mind from where the noble urges of love, kindness, mercy, forgiveness, tolerance, etc. flow out is called the heart. Therefore, within the lotus of the heart means in a bosom that cherishes these values, these virtues, and so to a large extent peaceful and serene, contented and fulfilled. That is the meaning of Hrit Pundarikam. A heart which is positive, which is pure, which has noble values. In that heart, what does one contemplate upon? Hrit Pundarikam Virajam. These are pointers. 4 pointers are there. Virajam, Vishuddham, Vishadam, Vishokam. 4 pointers. It's there in the mantra only. Virajam, Vishuddham, Vishadam, Vishokam. These are 4 pointers of the self. Vichintya Madhye means to think amidst the lotus of the heart, meaning to contemplate in one's heart on the self, which is indicated by Virajam, Vishuddham, Vishadam, Vishokam. 4 words. So what is Virajam? Free from Rajoguna, meaning free from attachments. The self is that which has no attachments, no agitations. To the extent we have attachments, to that extent we will have agitations and sorrow. No attachments, then no agitation. Even in the most unfavorable circumstance, the mind will not be disturbed if there is no attachment. But even in the favorable circumstance, the mind will be disturbed if there is attachment. So self is that which has no attachments, Virajam. Vishuddham, it is the purest, no impurity in that. So impurity is when something else is added in a thing. So like water, if this water is here, 1 glass of water. When do we say water is impure? When some dust or sand or something has fallen inside it, which is not water. Then that water has become impure. No, Swamiji, we put rose water inside that, rose water drops. Then it is not visible, but it has become rose water then. It is not by itself water. That rose water has its fragrance and whatever it is, that's a different matter. But in this context, Vishuddha means the thing is by itself and there is nothing else inside it. Neither positive nor negative. That is called Vishuddha here. Which means no positive thought and no negative thought. Self is beyond thought. Vishuddha also can mean which has no vasana. Impurity, vasana is the impurity. That vasana only leads to attachment and then all the other effects of that attachment. So what does one meditate upon? Virajam. The self is without any agitation, attachments. The self is purest. Vishadam, clear. There is no confusion in the self. The self is the clearest. No, Swamiji, sometimes our clarity gets clouded. That buddhi gets clouded. That generally happens. In the class, one has heard everything and it appears one has understood also everything. And then when one goes home and they ask, what was said by the speaker today? Something about meditation. What about meditation? Very nicely the speaker said about meditation. The whole process was nicely described. What are the steps? It was fabulous. I just heard it. So amazing it was. I just absorbed it all, So what are those steps? You tell me, I also want to know. That you ask the speaker only. So it appears we have understood everything, but sometimes it is not there. The buddhi has got clouded. And especially when one wants to speak, when one has to speak that and share that, then comes the challenge. Yesterday you did rigorous group discussion. 11 to 12:30 and then again 3 o'clock and 3:30 and then again in the night and again maybe today sometime, all that, And then when you come here to perform, suddenly mind goes blank. And somebody has written notes, somebody else is presenting. What does this mean? This line, what does this mean? In the discussion it was very clear. Now when one is standing here suddenly, What is this? Swamiji, I didn't write this, I'm only presenting. So they'll say, oh, this person was making the note. So what does this mean? Can you explain? Buddhi gets clouded. Self never gets clouded. The sun appears to be clouded. But is the sun ever covered? Sun is never covered. This self is the sun. It will never be covered. What is getting covered is the buddhi. So sometimes we feel, I know I am Brahman. I lift the mind to that state, I am Brahman. And sometimes suddenly the mind will feel, how can I be Brahman? I am such a miserable jiva, a lot of thoughts coming in my mind, how vulgar they are, how bad they are, how can I be Brahman? Suddenly that thing gets clouded. That is the buddhi, our mind, intellect. Self is Vishadam, absolutely clear. Doesn't matter, leave it. It will just sit there quietly. No problem. Vishuddham, Vishadam, Vishokam, beyond grief. All this, if there are no agitations, if there is no impurity, if there is no ignorance, no confusion. See, we have ignorance, then we have confusion, and then we have contrary experience. Ajnan, Samshaya and Viparita Bhavana. They are our problems. So they are, Vishadam can also mean that. These are the impurities in us, or these are the things that cloud our clarity. Ajnan, I don't know who I am. Or Samshay, I know, I have heard about it, but I have lots of doubts. Or I have no doubts, but I still feel I am the jiva. That is called Viparita Bhavana. That Viparita Bhavana goes through contemplation. Samshay goes through Nididhyasan, and Ajnan in this context goes through Shravanam. So Vishadam means that, very clear, beyond ignorance, beyond doubt, beyond contrary knowledge. The result of this will be what? Vishokam, self is beyond grief. Mind will feel the grief. See, Rajoguna and Tamoguna are cause of grief in the mind. Sattva Guna will not cause grief. Sattva Guna is the guna for happiness, peace, knowledge. So if a person comes to Sattva Guna itself, one will go beyond lot of these negativities. Still, this Sattva Guna is a guna. It will bind this jiva. So what should one do? Vishokam means which is beyond this Sattva Guna also. Hrit Pundarikam Virajam Vishuddham. Right now the Hrit Pundarika is looking at the Kukuraha. This is what happens in our meditation also. We are trying to meditate and some jalebi, some pakoda, something will keep coming. A dog makes the movement and it goes and sits. What else it will do? When we see the dog, you are watching as observer, no? Like that we have to see the mind also. The thoughts, they come, they roam, they go. What? How does it matter to me? I am Asanga. I am a Sakshi. That is the state of Vishokam. Acha Swamiji, the self is Virajam, self is Vishuddham, self is Vishadam, Vishokam. It is not some self who is that. These are 4 pointers for whom? I. I am Virajam, I am Vishuddham, I am Vishokam, I am Vishadam. This every day when we contemplate, these 4 pointers if we contemplate, one will discover the self. And every time the mind brings up some sorrow, you say, I am Vishokam. No grief for me. No sorrow for me. Otherwise the mind goes on victimizing itself. People don't love me enough. I did so much for them. They don't care for me. They left me alone, or they cheated me. They manipulated me. Something will keep coming. What else to do? Samsara will go on like that only. If one person stops, somebody else will start. So I can keep choosing to victimize myself, or I can say, I am none of these. That ego is going through that, I withdraw. Aram se, sit quietly. Who am I? Vishokam. Vishuddham, no impurities in me. Such a impure thought came in my mind, Swamiji, my mind is very impure. Good, my mind is very impure, no? So just remove that my. Mind is impure. You watch. Purity, impurity, states of the mind. I am the Sakshi. In this screen, when we see the movie, good scenes, if they come, romantic scene, nice scenes come, the screen is still white only. And if there is a bloodshed, yesterday we made such ghost stories in the night. Suppose that ghost story is made into a movie, and the head is chopped off and this shadow is running on you, and then is drinking the blood and this and that, all that. Yesterday we had the time of our life, I tell you. Those who didn't come, you missed it now. What can we do? In the night we went to the crematorium, and there was Tandav by Bhoot Pishacha. We saw that. They performed for us. And I am not joking. We were trying to click pictures. We could not click only. How much we tried. Bhoot, Pret, Pishach, all were there. All Ganas. Yeah. Some of them put the light and they were looking terrible. And light from here. So if some ghost movie you see on this and blood and this and that, what will happen to the screen? It will become red. It will remain white only. Our Chaitanya Swarup Atma is like that. Thoughts come, thoughts go. Doesn't matter. Problem is that impure thoughts, when they are there, then the mind is not able to contemplate steadily. The idea is not to justify, then the impurities are there, let them be. What do I care? No. Right now we are identified with them. No, we are identified with the Jiva Bhav so much, so we don't have that clarity that I am not the mind. I am the mind right now. So then the impurities are affecting. So sadhana has to be done to overcome the impurities. But apart from that, when I am sitting in contemplation, that time complete disassociation with the finite. That is the purpose of contemplation. So these 4 pointers. Virajam, Vishuddham, Vishadam, Vishokam. Here he has indicated how to contemplate. The steps are given and then the pointers are also given, so that mantra by itself actually is complete mantra for indicating the entire process of Nididhyasan. Now the Upanishad will proceed ahead to give specifically that when we have withdrawn the mind, Sakalendriyani, it was said, withdraw, then surrender to the Guru. What to do after that? Pointers of the truth were given. So if somebody is able to contemplate on Nirgun Nirakar, very good. The 6th mantra will give about some more pointers about Nirgun Nirakar. If somebody is not able to contemplate on Nirgun Nirakar, then one needs Sagun Sakar, form. So 7th mantra will speak about the form. So Upanishad gives both. The 3 actually, not both. All the 3 sadhanas are given in the Upanishad. Nirgun Nirakar also, Sagun Nirakar which is Omkar, and Sagun Sakar which is form. So if somebody says, where is bhakti in the Upanishad? Upanishad don't have bhakti. Hare Ram. What all weird concepts we have? This is Vedant Marg. Pure intellectual path. There is no place for emotions here. That Bhakti Marg people, let them do that. And the Bhakti Marg people will say, ye gyan wale hain, ye sab. Baatein karte rehte hain gyan ki. We are people who are surrendering to Bhagwan. Everything depends on Bhagwan. Jnana is not required. Bhagwan Kripa is enough and we will get mukti. But the best part is the devotees of Bhakti and Jnana can keep saying that and fighting between each other. But the Acharyas of Bhakti and Jnana, they don't have any conflict. Bhagavatam is, what is the main purpose of Bhagavatam? If any of you have studied Bhagavatam, what is the main purpose of Bhagavatam? To increase the bhakti. Of course, bhakti can also be increased through that, but the main purpose of Bhagavatam is what? That Bhakti Mata is young and the children, Jnana Vairagya, become old. To strengthen that Jnana and Vairagya, Bhagavatam was given. But today what has happened? The Jnana Vairagya is left somewhere and one is so much carried away with this katha and decoration and khana and all that. The other day Monaji was saying that if they hire out the hall, now they stopped doing that, but sometime back when they were hiring out this hall to some groups from Rajasthan, they want to do Bhagavad Saptah, their entire focus is on food. हमको चाय के साथ मट्ठी दे दो, इसके साथ ये दे दो, उसके साथ वो दे दो, full time, and they want to bring their own cook and then make the food in the kitchen and feed the people. Whether they understand katha or not does not matter. Food has to be good and food has to be given time to time. Where Jnana Vairagya is the purpose of that Bhagavatam. So, which text does what? We have some weird ideas about that. So, people think like that. Upanishads are only Jnana Marg. There is no Bhakti in Upanishad. Meditation also, in contemplation itself, he says Bhaktya Swagurum Pranamya. The word Bhakti itself is there. Again he will say that, again it will come, the next mantra, 7th mantra, again form of Lord Shiva will be described. So Bhakti is definitely there in Upanishad. One should not think it is not there. All the three are there, Nirgun Nirakar, Sagun Nirakar, Sagun Sakar. And this Upanishad is specifically the Upanishad which is giving all the three. Omkar also is mentioned here, form also is mentioned here, Nirgun Nirakar also is mentioned here. All the three are there. So this 6th mantra now is about the pointers of the self. Achintyam avyaktam anantarupam Shivam prashantam amritam brahmayonim Tathadi madhyanta vihinamekam Vibhum chidanandamarupam. Achintyam. The self is unthinkable. Arey Swamiji, itna sara karne ke baad you are saying it is unthinkable. So many books we have to study. One whole study scheme Gurudev gave. And now you are saying self is unthinkable. Unthinkable meaning it is not thinkable in the usual way, like how we think of the objects in the world, where the thinker is retained and then the thinker thinks about some object, person, situation, and then the knowledge of that thing arises. But the thinker remains intact. Self is not an object that the thinker has to think about. Self is the cause for the illuminating factor for the mind and the intellect. The ability to think and feel comes from the self. So we cannot think of self as an object. We have to think of self as what? As I, aham. Not as something to be attained. It is unthinkable, yet it has to be thought of. But in a special way, as the subject, not as the object. In popular language, Gurudev used to say, God is not an object that can be shown in test tube. So God is the subject, the truth in us, the self in us. So Achintyam means that. So any thought that comes, what do I have to do with that thought? Ignore that thought. Specifically focus on the pointers of the self, like Achintyam, Avyaktam, all these. And after some time, that pointer also, one drops. The mind has to be lifted to that state conveyed by that pointer. Then the words have to be dropped. The meaning of the words have to be dropped. The state has to be focused upon. So suppose we say, suppose I say, Asha ji, come here. What will Asha ji do? She will get up and come, no? Will she sit and think some Asha ji is being called? No. Will she think that Asha means desire, so desire is being called? No. What will she do? The word and the meaning of that word both are dropped. But both these are indicating the person. So that person feels, I am being called, and the person will come. Same thing we do in the contemplation. The words achintyam, if we say self is achintyam, I am achintyam, word achintyam is dropped, meaning of the word achintyam is dropped, that achintyam means unthinkable. But the self is indicated by this achintya, that I am that infinite consciousness, cannot be thought of as the object, I am that. Even these words I am saying because using language I have to explain. Otherwise these words are not required. One will say, what is that which is beyond thought? I am that, and stay in that. If some thought comes, again one says, I am not this, I am not the thinker, I am that consciousness. So again and again the mind will go back to that higher state, the source. It will not go outside. Generally with the thoughts we get carried away and we multiply thoughts. Here we don't multiply thoughts, we go to the source of thought. So contemplation is not going on repeating achintyam avyaktam ananta rupam, achintyam avyaktam ananta rupam. It is not japa, it is not a repetition. What it is? Slowly chant the mantra, one word of the mantra. Let the meaning sink into the mind and drop the word, drop the meaning after that. Go to that state. Achintyam. Avyaktam, it is unmanifest. Why it is unmanifest? Today it appears unmanifest to us because of our identification with the body. If I think I am this body, I see everyone as the body. Then it is difficult to understand the self. But self is that which is illumining everyone. So then, just like the butter, if we ask, where is the butter in the milk? What will you say? Is it in one place? Everywhere in the milk. But can you see butter? So what can we say? Butter is unmanifest in the milk. Then what to do? If I want butter, then I have to do the process. Make it into curd, buttermilk, churn it, all that, then the butter will come. So sadhana is that process which will make the unmanifest self manifest to us. Otherwise we keep thinking self is some object. Achintyam, avyaktam, ananta rupam. It does not have one form, but all forms are its forms. Ananta rupam. Shivam, it is most auspicious. It is that because of which this BMI is enlivened. Prashantam, it is most serene. Shant itself means calm. Prashanta means that which is calm in all disturbances also. Like we just saw earlier. The screen remains undisturbed no matter what is seen on that. So Prashantam. Amritam, it is immortal. Mrita means change. Amrita, there is no change. It is changeless. Brahma Yonim. Acha, Brahma Yonim. Brahma here means the creator. The self is the source of the creator also. Meaning, Brahmaji is the creator. But that Brahmaji also is an upadhi because of Maya. Brahman plus Maya becomes Ishvara, who is Brahmaji. This self is that Brahman without Maya Shakti. So the source of Brahmaji also is this Brahman. Brahma Yonim. Tatha Adi Madhya Anta Vihinam. It is devoid of beginning, middle and end. Devoid of beginning, middle and end means this beginning, middle and end are in time. This is timeless. Amritam, changeless, so timeless. It does not have any beginning. So what does it mean? When we ask that question, which is my first birth? Jiva also doesn't have a beginning. Or when did this snake rise first from the rope? If the rope was being seen, then the snake will never be seen. There is no first birth of the snake. Beginningless is the Jiva. If Jiva is beginningless, what to talk about Brahman? Brahman has to be beginningless. Why? Because time itself is a part of creation. This is the source of creation, the creator itself, the source of creator. How will there be a beginning for that? Suppose Brahman has a beginning, then what will happen? What was before Brahman? Swamiji, before Brahman was nothing, then Brahman was born. Then that Brahman will perish. Simple. If Brahman was born, Brahman will perish. Beginningless. So Jiva also is beginningless. But Jiva Bhav can end. So Jiva is not Ananta. This is Adi Madhya Anta Vihinam. It is beyond beginning, middle and end. Jiva has a beginning and middle. So Jiva is beginningless, has a middle, but Jiva will end. Because it's myth. Rope is beginningless, rope is endless. But the snake is beginningless, but snake will end. The moment I see the rope, snake is gone. That. Adi Madhya Anta Vihinam. Ekam, it is one. Ananta Rupa is said and one. Both are said. So all forms are the forms of Bhagavan and yet it is one. And if it is one, is it somewhere up there? No. Vibhum, all pervasive. It is everywhere. So everything can become an altar of surrender. Or everything can become a means to connect to the divine. Vibhum. So for us in Hindu culture, we worship everything. People think we are primitive. But we are not primitive. We are worshipping the Supreme because Supreme is only everything. Right from a stone to absolute formless, everything is worship. Vibhum. Chidananda Rupam. It is of the nature of pure consciousness and bliss. That which illumines everything is Chaitanya, and that which is of the nature of bliss, which is uncaused. Everything in the world that we have, the objects, they can be cause for some pleasure or pain. Pleasure, happiness, joy, they all have some cause, some source. But Ananda, no cause for it. It is causeless. It is our Swarupa. That's why in deep sleep all objects are absent, but we are still most happy. So our notion that I need objects to be happy is false. Lesser objects, more happiness. No objects, maximum happiness. Adbhutam. So this is the most wondrous self. Having lot of apparent contradictions, but it is most wonderful. Adbhutam. Gurudev describes nicely. Adbhutam means when we see something which is magnificent, the emotion that rises in us is wonder. And when that wonder rises, the buddhi becomes numb. For that moment, we forget who we are. And we just say, wow. Even that wow, we will not finish. Wow. Stuck. Mouth is stuck. Just stunned by that beauty. Whatever it may be. It may be some nice mountain, river, scenery, anything. Then one is stuck. So for that time, what has happened? Buddhi, we have transcended. Jiva Bhava is transcended. One has as though become one with this beautiful nature. Now apply that to self. The most wondrous is this self. So now these are the pointers one can use for contemplation. If this becomes difficult and this seems heavy, then Bhagavan says, okay, meditate on my form. Uma Sahayam Parameshwaram. Looking at all of you right now, it is like that. What is this self? I don't know. Pata nahi. Chalo thodi der so jate hain. Then we will get up again. When this mantra gets over, then we will wake up again, because this is going bouncer. Self may be whatever it is. Right now I'm Jiva wanting to go into Swapna and Sushupti Avastha. Bas. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.